All right, I have 12 o'clock on my clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to the third installment of the Share My Screen series. I'm Katrina Boylan and I run the Center for Injury Research, Translation, and Communication, or CIRTSI as we're known. And thank you again for joining today's session. Today, this will be the last in this first three-parter on the basics of design. And at the end, I'll share some information to register for the next series, which is going to go more in depth on some of the tools and techniques that we use when we're creating visuals. And so I'm going to send out an email to everyone who's registered for the series after the conclusion of today with the links to the videos from the series and registration for those next two sets. But let's get started because I know there's a lot to cover. And today we are lucky to have Tracy Mehan, who is the Director of Research, Translation, and Communication at the Center for Injury Research and Policy at Nationwide Children's Hospital. And she is well known in our field for her great presentations. So much so that she is often emailed for help polishing up her slides for other people. And so I asked her to come today to share how she approaches slide design to make the most of her presentations. We will obviously have time for questions at the end, so you can save them for then, or feel free to drop those in either into the chat or the Q&A, and we'll get to those. So take it away, Tracy.
Thank you, Katrina. Okay, so I thought that I would start by sharing my screen. And we're going to go through today an actual presentation that I'm going to be giving next week so you can see the process that I use to develop my presentations. So first off, I start by putting together my slides using the template that I need to use for my presentation. And it starts with what you see here, a bunch of slides that have just text on them. They're bullet point texts and any of the key messages that I need to support what I want to say in that text. Little boring to me. Some people stop here and that's okay, but I like to see if we can take it up a notch. Hopefully after today, if you would like to change your presentations from just text like this, you will learn a little bit more. Okay, so we're gonna start with the title page. This is a typical title page we see, totally fine, but this is an example of a title page that I built. And so I'm gonna show you how I did that. So first, we would start by inserting a new slide. And I like to use slides from the template because they are set up to work with accessibility. So for instance, if I insert this title slide, you will see that it has the title here and screen readers will know that it's the title. So whenever possible, use your template slides. I also wanted to acknowledge here that I have saved the assets that I plan to use during today's demonstration into a folder to save time. We usually use sites like Canva and Noun Project to find our additional visual cues that we use. So you can do that if you would like. Okay, so to, again, save a little bit of time. Well, actually, let's do this. So on that slide, you could see I had grass, right? So I found in Canva some grass and I saved it on my desktop. And all I have to do is drag it over. And then I'm going to resize it a little bit to make it look like it fits on this line here. And then all I do is copy and paste. And you can just keep adding those. I won't do the whole line, but you can see I just added those across. I also found a lawnmower. This is on lawnmower related injuries. Downloaded it onto my computer and I just have to add it in right there and I can drop it in wherever I want it on my slide. And then because this is Nationwide Children's Hospital and we like our butterflies, I wanted to add some butterflies to make the slide even a little bit more on brand. And then for the title, I just moved it around and typed in the text. So you can see how easy it is to just make it a little more visual. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next slide. So this one is about what's happening at our hospital for lawnmower related injuries. And I have some great data here, but it's kind of hard to read. There's a lot of you have to really look at it, and the numbers are kind of buried. So I changed it to look like this. So a lot more visual, easy to see the information more quickly, and has a little bit more punch to it. So how did I do that? So I already inserted a slide, and you can see on the one before I had the blue background. So one way that you can do that, if you right click, you can see this format background, and you can actually change the color. You see the color right here is white. You can change it to any of these colors. I'm going to click on more colors here to show you one more thing. So if you can see down here, I actually have preloaded in here all of the different colors of our CERTI brand and our Nationwide Children's Hospital brand. And you can do that by entering the hex code in here. So you can find that in your brand guidelines. And once you enter the hex code, it'll change the color of the box here. And then you just drag this over, and now that saves it for PowerPoint forever. So you will have those in there. For the purpose of this, I'm going to use this blue color. So you just click on that and say, okay, and it turns the whole background blue. So to save time on text, I'm just going to copy all this stuff so you can see what that looks like. Keep the butterflies there. So drop this in. Now for the table, if you don't know how to do tables, you do insert table, and then I have a 4x2. So you just drop it in there, and it drops it in like this. You notice mine is orange. So all you have to do, all I did was click up here, orange, and then change the size. That easy, and you have something that's a little more visually appealing. Okay. And then for the pictures, you can do that two ways. So I have these nice circle pictures, right? So I have found an image of a circle that I created. Well, I created this in Canva. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to crop it to make it a square. So you hit this little crop here, and all you have to do is pull these over. I want this to be a square. So if you see now, so you can see the width and the height. If I make it 4.78 on each, it becomes a square. Oops, I didn't do it. A little off here. There we go. Oh, close enough. So now it's a square, and I had a circle. So how do I make the circle? You can actually change this into a circle by going back up to crop to shape, circle, and it makes it a nice, perfect circle. Just reduce the size a little bit, drag it over here, and as easy as that, you have a circle shape. I also wanted to show what it looks like to do the lawnmower. So I have a riding lawnmower here. I just pull that image in here, and if I do that crop to circle or crop to shape, do it as a circle. Because I didn't make it a square, it makes it more of an oval. So just make sure when you're doing that, you crop it to a square first. And then when you do that, you'll have that nice circle shape. Okay, so another slide is key messages. For this, I changed it into this really nice square with circle format, and it really makes these 2 points stand out. And so how did I do that? So you start really simply by doing the same thing. You can go up to shapes here, add a square. I want to make sure that I'm inserting this square. So I'm going to have this nice shape here. Measured these ahead of time so that we can make sure they're pretty close. So now it automatically came up with this color, and I want to make it that blue color again. So I go up here to shape fills, another way you can get to the colors. Because I recently used that blue, it's here, or I could go to more fill colors. Make that blue. Now you noticed I had 2 squares on there, right? So I want to just copy and paste. But before I do that, I wanted to place this. So you see how that red line comes up? That means that this square is now centered on the page. So I have that. Right click, copy, right click, paste. It gives me another square. And all I have to do is drag that over. Now you can see here, the line in the middle shows me where it is in the spacing. If you see on the bottom left and the bottom right hand corner, you can see that the squares are now equidistant. They're the same distance from the end, which is great, but they're a little off center. So if I just drag it down, now you can see the red lines at the top and the bottom show that it's matched up. So you can use the guidelines that are on there to make sure that it matches up. This also had a circle in it. So I go back to insert, shape, circle. I want to draw my circle. I want to make sure that my circle is the same size. So you can see height and width. You just want to make sure you get them as the same, that they're the same width and height if you want it to be even. And to make sure this is centered, see how the red line comes across? It's centered across there, but it's not centered there. If you move it a little bit more now, this is completely centered within that square. I'm going to do the same thing here for shape fill. Now for this, I want to have a complementary blue that kind of pops. So I just selected a shade that is already in there. So for this shape, do the same thing, copy and paste, drag it to make sure that it's centered. So now we have those in there. And then I just added text and the butterflies. Gonna save some time here by just dropping those in, and it's that easy. If you wanted to add this, all you would do is add a text box like this and then center it, but that's how that works. You'll notice here, I also changed the color of some of the significant words to make those pop. That's another way you can make information stand out. Okay, this one has a bunch of facts on it. And if I were to present this, it would be really hard to read. And what would happen is people are going to be reading this instead of listening to my presentation. So I wanted to show a couple of different ways that you can change this type of slide depending on how much time you have to develop your presentation and what your interest is and what your audience is. Honestly, sometimes different audiences will want different things. So this first example, all I did was add a shape of the square, and I just made it like that, and then changed it to that blue color and put it off to the side. And it just added a nice little pop of color, and I moved the title down here and changed it to that same lighter blue. I made the bullet points, I separated them a little bit, and that's pretty much all I did. Added the little butterflies down here for brand consistency. And that's all I did. And I think this looks better than the one before. So that is one option that's pretty easy. This next one, I added some of that colored text to make the more keywords pop. And I added some sub bullets here to make it a little easier. And then I also added animation. And so I'm going to show the animation here. So if you go to animation and animation pane. Oh, nope, didn't do it on this one. Just kidding. I'll show you that on another slide. Okay, this next slide is here where I did the animation. So this next slide, same as it was before, except I reordered it a little bit to make the flow of the story go a little better. I practiced saying it and realized I needed it to be in a different order. And then to make it more visual, I added some colored icons that I found from Noun Project. So Noun Project, we pay for a subscription, so we can use the icons without attribution. You don't have to do that. You can use it for free, but if you use it for free, then you have to put a little text box on the slide saying that you use the icons from Noun Project. For this instance, so you see I have fire here, so I just typed in fire, found one that I liked. This is when you have, I think you can do it for paid or free. You can change the color. So you just click on here and I put in my hex code that we use for our branding. And that's the nice orange color. Downloaded a PNG, which is saved here. And then you can just pull it over. For the animation, I'm going to go back to the animation pane for a second. If I put the slide and I put all the text, people are going to be reading the text and not listening to me. So what I like to do instead is have one point come up at a time. So you can see I have the icon and the text for that come up as one. And I click on it, click on the two that I want. So click on the text box and the lawnmower, and then I just hit appear. And when you show the slide, I'll show it at the end, but when you show the slide, it just that point comes up. And then you hit the next arrow and the next point comes up. And it helps you control what your audience is seeing and helps them stay with you and what you're talking about. So it's really easy to do. You can see what order they are coming up in here, plus on here. So you see 1, 2, 3, right? So nice and simple. This next version, similar thing. I'm going to turn off the animation pane so we don't see that. This next version, I still have the icons, but I put them in circles just for a different kind of look. It's one I use a lot and it's one that I like. So in order to do that, you just do, again, shapes, circle, put your little circle in here. Want to make it the same height and weight again. Basic idea. Now it comes up blue. Now you see these are white. So I actually have the shape fill as white. And you see how it has this blue line around it. I like to do that so the blue matches the blue here. The way you do that is with the outline. So you just match the blue to the outline. So right now it's hard to tell that it's on there because it's on the blue, but if you drag it over, you can see now it has that blue outline. To make sure that they're all centered, again, when you were to drag it, if you drag this circle, you can see different lines come up. If you want to match them to the rest of them, you want to get the red line so that it's on both sides. You can see now that that circle is perfectly lined up with all the other circles in terms of where it is on the line. If you want to make sure that they are all spaced evenly, now this one is a little bit different because this section is so big, they're not spaced evenly. But if I want to have these spaced evenly, I would select each of the circles and then do a line, distribute vertically, and it would match them all up so they're all evenly selected or evenly spaced. If you have them across, you can do the same thing with distribute horizontally. Not going to do that for this purpose, but so you can see that. And for this icon, all you have to do is take your icon that you've downloaded, drag it to the page, resize it, and drop it in there. And then again, you'll want to align it to make sure that it's lined up evenly with the other ones, and nice and easy. You have circles and you do that for each one. Okay, another version. This is the extra advanced version. This is the same slide as all the other ones, just formatted in a different way. And all I did to do this is just add shapes and color them a little bit differently. For this, I would always start with a middle shape and align it perfectly in the middle and then move outwards. And just put text boxes in there. And then the circles and the icons are the same way that we created them for the other ones. For these, I matched the outside to whatever the box was. So a little more time, a little more advanced, but in the big scheme of things, all you're doing is dropping shapes in there. Just has a different kind of a look. For some different types of slides, this is one where for this talk, I'm going to transition over to what can healthcare providers do. And I wanted to make this page pop. So you saw me do the background to change it blue. Another thing you can do is you can drop in a shape and just take the shape and make it go across the whole page. So whichever works better for you. Sometimes if you're using a template that has things in the background, you need to do the shape because then the template things will pop up. And I didn't want the Nationwide Children's logo on this one on the bottom. So I had to do it as a shape. Title text is the same. This, I just inserted a dotted line and added the butterflies in here. For this photo, I actually got it from Canva. I searched for a photo of a doctor and then I did background remover. We are going to show you how to do that in the next session, so stay tuned for that. I also wanted to add a quote. So this was a divider screen, right? But I wanted to show some different examples of quotes. I have seen this many times where you just put a quote in the middle of the page, makes it stand out, nice, good to look at. This one's not horrible, and you can definitely use that. But if you want some different design ideas, same quote. This one, all I did for this was I went to shape, add a line, and just drew in some lines. And then you can change, and then I put a line here. I just put some lines in to make some corners around the quote, made the quote the blue color, and then change these to pop to a different color. This is just a text box with big quotation marks. That simple, but it has a nice pop to it. Another version, if you want to stay with consistent look, we have those slides that have the blue background and the dotted lines and the butterflies. All I did was change the font to add these pop words. Nice and simple. If you want to have pictures, you can do that as well. So for this one, you can insert a picture that you find somewhere else where you just drag and drop like I did before, or you can do insert picture stock images. This will bring you to a list of images that PowerPoint itself has access to. So I just typed in lawnmower and found a picture that I liked and hit insert. And it drops the photo right in there. And then I just made it the full size. That easy to do. Their images are limited, but it is nice to be able to do it right in there. Because it would be hard to see the text over if it was just on the picture. That's a little hard to read. So I made another shape and put it in there. For this one, I just did a shape with rounded corners instead. And then you can see on this one, it has a little bit, it's not the full color, right? It's called transparent. So if you right click, format shape, oops, I'm on the wrong thing. Right click, format shape. So now you can see it's that green color and there's a transparency bar. So you can slide this. So now it's 100% transparent, or now it's the full color. So you can slide it to whatever transparency level you like to make it stand out. So this one, it has the picture on the full screen. If you want to mirror the look that you've been going with, this, I just made the picture a little bit smaller on that blue background and added some butterflies in the corner. And then not related to this, but just I wanted to share because it's one that I've seen that I like. I downloaded this photo because it's a quote from somebody that's really famous and her image will have impact as well. You can see I had to add a photo credit on here because I didn't have the rights to use this photo without a photo credit, but all you have to do is add the photo credit on there, nice and simple. And I think this has nice power. Trina, do you want me to keep going with the animations or stop for questions?
Yeah, so at the moment, I'm not seeing any questions, and I actually think the animation thing is super cool. So why don't you go ahead and do that? In the meantime, if there are any, we just have a few minutes left. So if there are any questions, again, drop those in the chat. But Tracy does have something super cool about animation here, so we'll do that.
Yes. So this was asked for one of our participants last time, so we wanted to acknowledge that you can do some cool things with animation and presentation. So these are some animations that we found in Canva. We like to use Canva a lot. So this is our Canva account, and I just searched for social media, and these were elements that came up. And all I did was download these. Again, we'll show you how to do that, but I downloaded them. And here's an example of one that I have downloaded. All you do is drop it into your slide and boom, you have animation on your slide. So what can this look like on slides? So here's an example of a slide where I just put a picture of hands and a screen, and I put the likes coming out from there, or a simple phone, and you can see the animation of the likes going up, right? That's an example. This one is an example using a photo. All I did is download a photo, drop it in here, and just move. You can see the animation. This is just the GIF. I just moved the animation in there. And for a presentation, this would have a lot of impact to see this on the screen. All right, I thought if there's not questions, I'm actually going to show what the final presentation looked like really quickly, where it stands right now. So this is our title screen. That lawnmower was actually a GIF, so you can see that happens. You can see I had the animation. This is the point I want them to focus on first. Then I bring up the second point. Here's my key messages slide. You can also animate this to have the text come up separately if you want to do that. Here's my lawnmower injuries facts where I have it come up separately for each one as I'm talking about the points. Here's my nice divider slide, my quote slide. Voila. So lots of information thrown at you there. Happy to answer any questions.
All right. Well, thank you, Tracy. I think everybody can see why Tracy is well known for her great presentations. Just again, putting in a little bit of time and effort really can go a long way when you're trying to communicate to different audiences. And so again, as she said, not everything you see here is going to be appropriate for every audience, but I do believe every audience benefits from having a really thoughtful design behind your slides. There is one question about the program. And again, we're using Canva, Canva. And if you didn't catch our previous Share My Screen series, we actually use Canva quite a bit in those first two. And again, I'll send out an email after today's session, probably tomorrow, with the links for all three of these series, along with some of the registration information for the next one. I'm actually going to drop that in the chat right now, the registration for the next one. But again, we use Canva a lot, especially we do design completely within Canva. But we actually use Canva a lot for generating designs that we use elsewhere, whether it be in a presentation or a website. And that's actually going to be part of the subject of the next series, which is going to focus on advanced content creation. So we're going to be in Canva a lot in those next sessions, again, showing you how we, again, maybe export some GIFs to use elsewhere, how we build different assets, how to export things so that they're shareable, and different things that just really make a difference when you're practicing health communication. And I'm going to go ahead and put the chat in right now so that's the advanced content creation. And then here is our third one, which is going to be in the last quarter of the year, is going to be on accessibility. And so we're going to cover the basics of accessibility for visuals, for presentations, and for social media. So feel free to sign up for those as well. But again, I'll shoot out an email after this is all posted with all of that information, along with the links for these videos. And absolutely, again, the recordings will be shared. They're all available on our YouTube page, which if you go to YouTube, it's just CIRTC _, and you can find that there. But again, I'll put that in a link. So hang on, I've got you spotlighted, Tracy.
Yep, and I do see Delaney had a question about the lawnmower. So Delaney, that is just a GIF that I found. You can find them in Canva. You can do animated GIFs. You can search for those. You want to make sure it's from a free site that you're allowed to use, or if you need to use attribution. But I just downloaded the GIF onto my computer and then pulled it into my presentation, and it automatically plays like that. So nice and simple, and something we recently discovered. I should also mention, yesterday, Katrina and I were doing a practice with this, and even in putting together our presentation, I learned a couple new things that Katrina knew that I didn't. And we had a really interesting conversation about, I've been using PowerPoint, I'm going to date myself, I feel like since it came out. And I do go back and learn new skills, but there were a few new features that I didn't realize were there because I was doing things the old way. So learning and continuing to grow in even platforms that you have used forever can be a fun new thing and a new set of skills. So we hope everyone continues to come back to this. And if you have other questions, then we can do that. Kelly does, yes, evenly spaced text boxes.
Yeah, I think we have time, Tracy. If you want to go, if you could just share that real quick, I think that'd be good. And then I think we'll wrap up.
Okay, back on here. Let me
and yeah, Delaney, we think it's pretty awesome too. That's why we share. It just says it's so easy. And actually, and then while she gets that pulled up, I will say we will show you specifically how to download those GIFs and different types of animations in Canva in that next series. So if you don't know how to do that, sign up for the next series and we'll cover it then.
Okay, so this works for text boxes, this works for the shapes. So right now I have all of the shapes selected and you see their spacing is just a little bit different.
Well, hang
It's-
on. How did you select them, Tracy?
Oh,
I just want to make sure that we capture all of it, right? How did you select all of them, Tracy?
well, for this, because there's so many different things, I had to click each individual one separately. You can actually go through, I'll show that at the end, where you select them all and it selects them all. I'll show that after. For this, you do arrange up at the top and then align. And if I do distribute vertically, watch how they change. So they change, so now they're all evenly spaced. So you can do that vertically or horizontally. If I wanted to select all of these text boxes, to Katrina's point, let me get over here. You can actually start at the corner and just drag across all of them. Oh, just kidding, it's not working. It's hard because I have so many. Let me do it on
We'll
this.
also tell everyone Tracy is working with a cut finger, which is ill-timed,
Yes.
or using a mouse. So thank you, Tracy,
Yes.
for persevering.
Bear with me on that. So if you select all of them, I don't know why it's not doing it. It should select all of them. I don't know why it's not doing this. Probably must do. There we go. It selects all of them at once. Then you can have everything selected without having to click on every little.
But if you do click on them, we're Mac users and I think it's Control. And when you click to select, and I think on Windows it's Shift to select multiple objects when you're clicking. I think it's Control on a Mac and Shift on Windows.
It might be the other way. I'm holding
Oh,
Shift.
is it the other way around? I use both. It's hard for me to remember sometimes. So
Shift and then click on your mouse. I'm holding
okay,
down the Shift button when I'm
okay.
clicking on each of
And
these.
she's on, and you're on a Mac.
I'm
So I
on a
think
Mac.
it's opposite for Windows.
Yep.
So yeah. All right, well, we're a little bit over our time. If there are any additional questions or anything, feel free to reach out to us at info@cirtc.org. We'd love to hear from you. But again, I'll be sending out all of this information. Thank you so much for attending the first complete set of the Share My Screen series. And we're excited to launch the next. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. Looking for more HealthCom content? Check out all of our trainings and resources at cirtc.org.